it's, you straight. You did it like, I'm 15, 16 years old. And she laying on the couch. And I'm sitting on the other end, and she laid down on the couch and put her head in my lap. I'm like, damn. He can't be talking about Mary. He's talking about she wanted me to come back up here, and now she on my lap. And I'm sitting there and I'm wondering, I'm like, okay, what is this gonna end up to? And she stayed a couple more hours. And we decided to go in the other room because it was a suite. We went in the other room and laid down. And she laid down with me, and she kind of like backed up against me, and every time she backed up against me, I would move away and shit,
Danny Boy just came out with some shocking claims, and he brought receipts. He says Diddy and Mary J. Blige lured him into a three-way affair when he was just 15. Now word is Danny might be taking the stand in Diddy's upcoming trial, and things are heating up fast. There's been talk that Diddy had help from other big celebs in his wild behavior. And now Mary J. Blige is being dragged into the mix. According to Danny, she didn't just make a one-time mistake, he claims she did this more than once. But hold up, it gets even crazier. Danny says Mary allegedly got pregnant during all the drama with Diddy, and then Diddy made her end the pregnancy. That's a serious accusation. So now people are asking, was Mary caught up in something she didn't want to be in, or was she really helping Diddy keep all his dirty secrets? And get this, folks are even saying she was messing around with Danny while she was with Tupac. That's a whole new level of messy. For a while, people been saying that once Diddy's secrets started coming out, other celebrities were gonna get exposed too. And now it looks like that's actually happening. Mary J. Blige's name is being mentioned a lot, and it's not for anything good. Danny Boy, who used to be part of Death Row Records, has been doing interviews, and he's not holding back. He says when he was just 15, Mary, who was 24 at the time, came after him and started a relationship with him. That's a big age difference, and a lot of people are raising questions about it. This story is only getting deeper, and it looks like more names could be coming out soon. What made this whole thing even shadier? Danny claims that Diddy knew what was going down and might have even helped make it happen. He painted the music industry back then as a dangerous playground for powerful adults where young artists like him were just left exposed and voiceless. No protection, no support, just silence. Danny says it all kicked off back in 1995, right after the infamous Source Awards. There was an after party popping off at a hotel, and all kinds of big names were in the mix. Mary J. Blige, Diddy's baby mama Misa Hilton, and a bunch of other familiar faces from the industry. According to him, the whole crew was turning up in different hotel rooms. He says he was chilling in his own room when someone called and invited him to join the party. When he pulled up, he was stunned. There was Mary J. Blige in the flesh. Danny admits he was starstruck since he'd been a fan for years. He hung out for a while, sipped a couple drinks with the group, and then dipped back to his room. But that wasn't the end of it. He says someone hit him up again a little later, saying a woman from the party wanted to see him.
He was talking, I think I left out, and Suge called me back up to the room. He said, come back upstairs, man, or old girl want to see you. This old girl. I think I'm one of the other girls. Mary sitting on the couch. So I know the girl that he in the bed with don't want me. So I went in, he closed the door and shit, and I sit down and I start talking to Mary. And the inside, I'm about to lose it, because I'm actually sitting here talking to Mary. She's sitting on the couch and shit, and we ordered some food and some more drinks.
Thinking maybe it was one of the other ladies who was feeling his vibe, Danny made his way back over. But when he got there, it wasn't a group. It was just Mary J. Blige and Misa Hilton in the room. Now here's where things took a strange turn. Danny says while he was sitting on the couch next to Mary, someone suddenly knocked on the door, and Mary flipped. According to him, she panicked and tried to hide, thinking it might be her boyfriend at the time, Casey. Their relationship was known for being toxic, even violent, so she probably thought he was coming to catch her slipping or start some serious drama. But turns out, it wasn't Casey after all, just a false alarm. But the vibe had already shifted. Danny said that right after that knock on the door, Mary went right back to flirting like nothing even happened. He claims she laid her head on his lap, started touching him, and things escalated real quick. According to him, the whole vibe turned intense fast. He says that night things went all the way, they ended up sleeping together. But that wasn't just some one-time situation. Danny claims it turned into a full-blown secret affair. According to him, Mary started flying him out to New York just to be with her, keeping everything on the low. He says she made him feel like they were really in a relationship. Danny believed he was her boyfriend and that it was something real. What he didn't know Mary was also involved with both Tupac and Casey during the same time. That's wild. Still, Danny swears it wasn't just a fling for him. He really thought they were dating and had something special. But now looking back, it's clear Mary wasn't on the same page, and that hits hard. But here's where things take an even darker twist. Danny says this whole situation wasn't just Mary acting on her own. He claims she learned this behavior from none other than Diddy himself. Back then, Mary and Diddy were tight. He was climbing the ranks at Uptown Records, and she was becoming one of their breakout stars. Now with all the dirt coming out, people are looking at that connection a lot differently. Multiple people have accused Diddy of using his position at Uptown to take advantage of young talent, and Danny says Diddy allegedly encouraged him to go through with the situation with Mary. When Danny said he was unsure and didn't feel comfortable, Diddy didn't back off. Instead, Danny claims Diddy pressured him, pushed him, and even threatened his career if he didn't go along with it.
10 years old, and she laying on the couch, and I'm sitting on the other end, and she laid down on the couch and put her head in my lap. I'm like, damn. He can't be talking about Mary. He's talking about she wanted me to come back up here, and now she on my lap. And I'm sitting there and I'm wondering, I'm like, okay, what is this gonna end up to? And she stayed a couple more hours. And we decided to go in the other room because it was a suite. We went in the other room and laid down. And she laid down with me, and she kind of like backed up against me, and every time she backed up against me, I would move away and shit. You know?
That's a heavy accusation, and if true, it adds a whole new layer to the mess surrounding all of them. According to Danny Boy, the real reason his music career stalled had nothing to do with talent. It was because he got tired of being passed around like some kind of plaything. He claims that after a while, he just couldn't take it anymore, being used by Diddy and Mary J. Blige whenever they felt like getting freaky. He says they would call him up out of nowhere no matter where he was and expect him to drop everything just to fly out to them. And if you're connecting the dots here, yeah, it sounds eerily familiar to what Cassie spoke about. The sudden demands, the flying across the country at a moment's notice and getting yelled at if you didn't immediately give in to what they wanted. It's all sounding way too similar to the stories from those wild freak-off court claims. So based on what Danny's saying, Diddy was already deep into that wild lifestyle all the way back in the 90s, and it wasn't just rumors. He had a whole setup going on. And let's not forget, he was also running that flavor camp back then with multiple young guys under his roof. The pieces are starting to come together and it's looking messy from every angle. But what really adds weight to Danny Boy's story is Mary J. Blige's longtime connection to Diddy. We all know about Diddy and Jay-Z being close, but him and Mary, they were practically inseparable. Their friendship goes way back to the early 90s. Diddy even helped produce her breakout album, What's the 411? That's over 30 years of tight friendship, and Diddy has always praised her. He's called her one of the greatest to ever do it, giving her credit not just for her vocals, but also for being a voice for women through R&B. In one interview, he said, Mary J. Blige is one of the greatest storytellers in R&B history. She created a lane for women around the world to speak their truth to power. But now, that same powerful bond is being questioned, and people are wondering what else was going on behind the scenes during all those years. Diddy once said nobody deserves success more than Mary J. Blige. He called her more than a friend, his sister, his ride or die. He said she's the queen of hip-hop soul, a force of nature who can make anything happen when she sets her mind to it. But by the late 90s and early 2000s, that picture-perfect bond between Diddy and Mary started to fall apart, and it didn't happen quietly. The friendship hit a rough patch, and soon they were acting like they didn't even know each other. Total silence, no music collabs, no public support, just cold distance. Eventually, Mary broke her silence. She came forward and owned up to what went wrong, saying she was in a dark place back then. According to her, she couldn't manage her personal life, let alone hold down a friendship or business partnership with Diddy. She took full responsibility and admitted it was all on her. It was a rare moment of transparency that showed real growth. That honesty slowly helped rebuild the bridge between them. Mary explained, "The real reason we split up is me not understanding the business the way I needed to understand it at the time." She added that Diddy had a label to run, a female artist to promote, and he was working with Biggie, all while she was spiraling. She said, "I was dogging myself. I was a mess. Any smart businessman would have backed off."
At the time, I had an opportunity to go out to New York and visit her a couple more times. Well, you know, that's why I was kind of confused when I heard Kurt saying that Mary was Pop Girl. Because at that time, she was my girl. At that time, I'm 15, 16 years old, and she flying me in to see her. And you know what it is when a girl back up on you, you young and I'm trying to show her that And she ain't phasing.
It felt like he was getting distant, but now I get it. I wasn't showing up. I wasn't healthy. So how could he risk it all on me? But that's not where the story ends, because now we gotta talk about the heavy rumors Danny Boy dropped. He claims that the private relationship between Diddy and Mary wasn't anything close to romantic or respectful. According to Danny, things got disturbing behind closed doors. He alleges that Diddy was aggressive with Mary, and not in a passionate way. He even says that at one point Diddy forced Mary into doing things she wasn't comfortable with, including using certain objects to please him. Even more shocking, Danny claims Mary got pregnant by Diddy during all this, and that Diddy made her end the pregnancy. That allegation alone has people stunned and questioning what was really going on in their so-called friendship. These claims paint a very different picture than the polished public image we all saw, and if what Danny's saying is true, there's a lot more to this story than anyone ever expected. Danny also brought up one of the most disturbing parts of this whole story, the claim that Mary J. Blige got pregnant by Diddy at one point, but Diddy allegedly didn't want the baby and pressured her to end the pregnancy. According to Danny, the experience messed her up bad. So bad, in fact, that it changed her entire mindset about having kids. He said Mary was so traumatized by what happened that she decided she would never have children of her own, and she's kind of hinted at that herself in an interview. She said, "I have nieces and nephews forever. I'm always watching out how people are scrambling for babysitters. I don't want to go through that. I like my freedom to go and move and do what I want to do. I don't want to have to tend to someone all the time. Right now, that's where I'm at, but I don't think having kids is going to happen." Now, what's really raising eyebrows is how close Mary stayed with Diddy for years after all this allegedly went down. Despite everything, despite the rumors, the trauma, the tension, they kept that tight bond going. So when she suddenly flipped the script and started acting like she and Diddy weren't even close, yeah, that had people confused. They looked like they had squashed their drama long ago, like everything was behind them. But out of nowhere, Mary started distancing herself, claiming she'd been done with Diddy ages ago. Folks weren't buying it. Word on the street is there's only one real reason she's backing off now, the feds. Yep, it's being said that federal investigators are digging through old records and starting to find connections between Mary and some of the mess tied to Diddy from back in the day. And now, just like a bunch of other folks, she's trying to cut ties before it gets messy. Insiders say one of the biggest reasons she's nervous is because of her alleged affair with Danny Boy. That's the part that's got her really sweating. Even though the statute of limitations has likely run out, so she can't be hit with charges anymore, she's still scared of the fallout.
You was messing with Mary.
Well,
okay,
you know,
how did you think about
that time I wasn't.
You know,
I mean, I kind of was, but wasn't.
That's what I'm saying. How did you think? Like, what did you feel like? Okay, yeah, I like Mary, or you just was like, was she taking advantage of you because you were young?
No, I mean, you know, that was Mary J. Blige.
She was young too.
She was young too, and that was Mary J. Blige. And when I brought that story up, because a lot of people thought that I was like trying to Me Too. I mean, I wouldn't use her. I got somebody I could Me Too if I want to, but it wouldn't be Mary. I said it in a conversation of, somebody else was saying how Mary was somebody's girl, and I was like, whoa, wait a minute, no, it wasn't. That was my girl.
Because getting exposed as someone who knowingly messed around with a teenager and allegedly took part in those shady freak-off situations with Diddy, that's the kind of reputation damage that sticks. And it's the last thing Mary wants coming to light now. That's when you thought things couldn't get any messier. New whispers are flying around that Mary J. Blige might actually know the real story behind what happened to Aaliyah. And not only that, some sources say Diddy and his crew might be in on it too. We all remember how Aaliyah tragically lost her life in that plane crash, right when her career was exploding. But for years, there's been quiet talk that it wasn't just some tragic accident, that something shady went down behind the scenes. Most people don't even realize that Aaliyah wasn't supposed to be in the Bahamas that day. The original plan was to shoot her music video in Florida. Everything was set and ready, but out of nowhere, the director, Hype Williams, suddenly changed the location to the Bahamas at the last minute. And here's the kicker. He didn't even get Aaliyah's approval first.
You know what I'm saying? I was a spiritual, whether people know it or not, because God don't kill people. You know what I'm saying? Whether people know it or not. And I could go deep, but a lot of people I would have to really bring proof, you know what I'm saying, for what I learned. And she just was cut down in the prime of her life. And it's so unfair. And it wasn't time. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't, I believe it wasn't her time to go, because from what I know, it ain't supposed to go down like that. And just simple obedience, like, your gut always won you. That's that your gut never lies to you. And something like luggage and clothes and jewelry and all this madness that we worship is called false idols. We need to really look at the bigger picture right now.
So they head to the Bahamas, and from the outside, everything looks smooth. They actually finished the shoot early, But that's when the problem started. Since they wrapped up ahead of schedule, nobody had planned how they'd get back to the States. Aaliyah reached out to her friend Lenny Kravitz, and being the real one he is, he offered to send his private jet for her. But before she could board Lenny's plane, Hype Williams reportedly blocked it, saying he had already made other arrangements for the whole crew. And those arrangements? A tiny aircraft that was way too small to handle the full team and all the equipment. When that flight finally showed up, it was already a red flag. The plane was overloaded and clearly not safe for the amount of weight it was carrying. It gets even worse. The pilot was allegedly high on substances at the time, and she felt that something was off. Multiple reports claim she didn't even want to board the plane. She was nervous, hesitant, and ready to refuse. But here's the chilling part. There are claims that she was given a sedative and carried onto the plane while unconscious. Not walking, not aware, just taken on that doomed flight without knowing. Shortly after takeoff, that overloaded plane went down, taking Aaliyah's life way too soon. And now, with new rumors saying that Mary J. Blige, Diddy, and others might have known more than they ever let on, people are demanding answers. Aaliyah's tragic plane crash took everyone on board, and it shook the entire industry. But Mary J. Blige has always spoken about Aaliyah's death with a deeper, almost chilling energy. Not long after it happened, Mary publicly said she believed it wasn't just an accident. She called it a spiritual murder, hinting that something darker went down behind the scenes. Now, back then, Mary didn't call out anyone by name, but according to people close to the situation, she allegedly believed Diddy might have had some kind of connection to what happened. Insiders in the music world were whispering that Diddy stood to make millions after Aaliyah's passing. Even more disturbing, the part about her possibly being sedated before boarding the plane sounded way too similar to other stories we've been hearing from women accusing Diddy of serious misconduct, and if that wasn't already wild enough, more rumors started swirling. Word is, Aaliyah might have had damaging info about both Diddy and R. Kelly. We already know R. Kelly manipulated her into marrying him when she was just 15, so if she had any real dirt on those two, especially now that Diddy's facing all kinds of heat, it makes you wonder how deep this rabbit hole goes. Mary was tied in deep with Diddy for years, but now she's making it very clear she's done with him. She even took to Instagram to post a cryptic message. Unfortunately, a lot of you met me when I lacked boundaries and was a people pleaser. Let me reintroduce myself. I burn bridges as needed. That sounded like a loud goodbye to anyone she's cutting off, and fans think it was aimed straight at Diddy. Honestly, it's not shocking that Mary would want to step back now, especially with everything being said about her involvement in those so-called freak-offs. And y'all, Danny Boy wasn't the only story out there. Allegedly, Mary was also linked to other wild situations tied to Diddy, including parties with escorts and super freaky setups that left people questioning what was really happening behind closed doors. So yeah, there's a lot to unpack here. From industry cover-ups to disturbing connections, it's clear this story is way deeper than we thought. And if even half of what's being said is true, things are about to explode even more. Let us know what you think about this mess in the comments, and make sure you check out the next video because trust, it only gets wilder from here.